Chapter 2. How I discovered the 5-second rule. I couldn't get out of bed for months since my troubles overpowered me so much. The author said, I recollect that I always feel so miserable. The maker my working life was a shambles and I had through so many transformations that I had founded numerous egos. I worked a day throughout the week, focused on the day, she adds, like many others. I'd evolved so much over the last 12 years that I had established numerous characters, she adds. I have learned a lot and had a terrific experience, but I never thought it's the conservative area of technology for me. At that time, I was 41 years old and I had severe financial, employment, and marriage issues, she said. I'm filled with dread every morning as soon as I wake up at 6 a.m. I was looking forward to the day. When the alarm leaves you, don't want to walk out of bed and face the day, adds the author, it's the worst thing. I don't know how it began, the author acknowledges. I was a single mother with 3 children, traveling back and forth to New York, staying on sofas of friends in the town, and advising folks on one side to get together. I fantasized to become a television star and to solve all our money problems suddenly. What a load of sweetheart. After shooting certain episodes of Someone's Gotta Go, the network put the program on hold. We were completely out of money and our home equity was totally maxed out. The wheels started coming off too fast. The firm won many prizes in the region and the pizza was excellent. They were able to build a second restaurant and a wholesale food chain with the support of a huge supermarket chain. Things began to be frightening quickly. We put our house share and our living savings in a restaurant company, as did many other small company owners, and it abruptly dropped before we saved our lives, he goes on. I'd probably still do it if the media didn't call. According to an article in Incorporated magazine that promotes my tutoring company and a CNBC director, you can always do worse, however bad your life may appear. I felt envious of my buddies who weren't working. I was a cheeky guy who was keen to make quick choices. I had persuaded myself that I couldn't help since our difficulties were so huge. I felt shackled by my circumstances and judgments I had taken. It was simpler to be sad for Chris and his failure to look in the mirror and get myself together than it was to look in the mirror, she said. It's not going to make a difference to know exactly what to do. I couldn't get to look at myself. I didn't feel comfortable going back to teach others because I felt like a failure. I was humiliated and overwhelmed, and I decided to take care of myself more carefully. Our financial difficulties have torn us apart. We have sought to keep a favorable image since so many of our friends and family members have invested in the restaurant industry. I hated myself because I wanted to work in the media industry and blamed the eateries. I had a lot of booze. That was something I could do. It's a bit too much. I knew what I should or could do to assist, but I didn't. I'd have a few drinks to take off the edge. The more I reflected about the issue, the more frightened I got. I would slip into a bed, inebriated or drunk, shut my eyes, and imagine a new way of life. It was the one day when I pressed the snooze button on it every day when I clicked 2, 3, or 4 times a morning when you push the snooze button. I found it too tough to do the assignment. I feel that analyzing the problem was compounded by spending too much time. I was 41 years old, jobless and in financial difficulties, and had no trust in the abilities of my spouse to address our issues. I was 41, and life was a nightmare for me out of trust. Life was a nightmare, there is no good reason for a good reason. The storyteller shouts, take that, life. You're a full bodybuilder. I don't get out of bed right now, I'm going back to sleep. Mount Everest was not required for me to ascend. On the other hand, the problem was compounded by simple activities. I understood exactly what I had to do to start my day in the proper manner. The self-confidence of the author decreased. He struggled with ordinary chores, such as getting out of bed, eating well, and going to the gym. One night, his attention was drawn to a TV advert. He knew he was locked in a habit cycle, as doctors term it, and he had to sleep very much. Once again, I felt like myself, he continues. I didn't get out of bed because for one simple reason I didn't feel like it, I didn't want to. I would take a deep breath, roll over, and hit the snuggly button. This is the table of contents of the author. Atlantic Monthly's The Power of 5 is available for $24.99. Each issue's price is $19.99. Your route to your own homepage has been discovered. I'm going to start myself out of bed tomorrow, like a rocket. It was just a good feeling at the moment. I may simply have brushed it off. As a result of my new understanding, I have taken action. I was seeking for a solution to our difficulties, to tell you the truth. I wouldn't harm my marriage or continue to feel like the worst mother on the earth, he adds. There's a substantial association between your brain and your motivation to act, according to a new study from the University of Arizona. When you establish an objective, your brain creates a list of tasks and involves your instincts to help you achieve that objective. It may alter your life by honoring your intuition with intelligent action, he adds. There is more to your instincts than the term trust your intestines, he explains. It's important to pay attention to this regard, no matter how weak or stupid that instinct may seem, he says. I wanted to regain my feeling of enthusiasm and pride. I didn't know how, says Tu's mother. You have your good inclinations to trust. I am so glad I heard my stupid notion to propel me out of bed like a rocket, said the author, because everything changed in my life. George de Mestral invented the concept for Velcro in 1941. In 1974, when he required a sign that would remain in his song until the church service on the next Sunday, Art Fry came up with the notion of the Post-it. When it heated out in 1992, a Starbucks assistant manager in Santa Monica saw sales decline. The first Frappuccino was produced by his firm 1 year later. It was winter in Boston, the author says, and I did not want to wake up to the launch of the rocket, which instantly made me feel dumb. I didn't know how fast cockleburrs stuck in my dog's hair, he says. The Boston weather was incredibly chilly. I was determined not to get out of bed. I didn't want to get out of bed that morning at all. It's quite chilly outside. It is time that I go to bed, the narrator adds. I'm happy you came here. I learned one of the things I learned with the 5-second. This is where some of the most useful innovations in the world have been discovered. I began counting by pushing the snooze button, the author adds. The other way is a phrase which may be rendered as on the other side I didn't care how I felt when I found Rule 5, I've taken care of everything that has to be taken care of. I couldn't believe it, says the speaker.